to share a point of thinking for today, which we call a point of light. In this week's Torah portion, when it speaks about the holidays of the year, starting with the holiday of Pesach, then going on to Shavuot and Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Sukkot and Shmini Atzeres, so it discusses all kinds of holidays, and of course it starts with Shabbat. But the term that the Torah uses is Ele Moedei Hashem. These are the times of God. In fact, that verse, Ele Moedei Hashem Mikroi Kodesh, these are the specific times that are designated for God, and they are called holy. That is the very pasuk that we use, the very verse that we use in reciting the day Kiddush of the holiday. So let us examine, what does it mean, Moedei Hashem, times that are designated to God? So in the calendar, we have every week Shabbat, which is a time that is designated for God. And on Shabbat, we enter into God's island, into God's world, into God's realm. We immerse ourselves in prayer and Torah study and engaging in holy activities and disassociate from anything that's mundane or not holy. Similarly, we have the holidays, the pilgrimage holidays, the holiday of Pesach that we just celebrated, and we're getting ready for the holiday of Shavuot. So these holidays are holidays that we actually enter into God's domain. It's called Moedei Hashem, the times of God. On these days, it's a mood of festivity. There is happiness in the air. We get together as a family, and we celebrate the Jewishness that we have, that God gave us as a gift. Now, the sages said that every day we have times that are designated for God. What are those moments in every day that are God's moments? So, of course, they are the times of prayer and the times of Torah study. So when you go into prayer, you're actually entering into God's domain. And it is a mini holiday and it's a mini Shabbat. In Chassidus, it says that every day we have a little bit of Shabbat, and that's the Zman Tefillah, the time of davening, the time of prayer. That's why when we get into prayer, we need to be totally immersed in it and not to look at our telephones or be involved in anything that's outside of our focus with God. And that is how these moments become Moedei Hashem. They're God's times that we are actually privileged to be part of. Now, by divine providence, since we are in a period right now where congregational prayer is not available and not accessible, and hopefully that will change very soon, so we have our private time for prayer. And there is an advantage to the private time over the communal prayer. But first, let's talk about the advantage of the communal prayer. Why is communal prayer celebrated, and why is it so important? One of the answers that's given as a reason why communal prayer is so important is because when we pray to God, we are not necessarily confident that we have enough merits to be able to have our prayers reach the divine throne. But when we unite with other people and pray together, and we're totally accepting and non-judgmental, and we come together as a congregation, so the merit of that unity allows the prayers to enter into God's chamber, so to speak. It comes all the way up to the Kisei HaKavod, the honorary throne of God, and that is the power of unity. On the other hand, private prayer is totally dependent on our merit. But then there's a virtue in private prayer, and that is that in private prayer, when we're praying alone, we can go at our own pace. We can meditate to the best of our ability and not worry that we need to catch up with the minyan. And we can truly focus on the words that we're saying. And if we choose to daven very long, we can do so. If we choose to daven a little quicker, we can do so. But the main thing is that it allows us to focus on the prayer to the best of our ability without feeling pressured from the congregation that we need to catch up with them. So I would say by divine providence, these months that we are secluded and segregated and we cannot pray together, we should certainly focus on God's time and make it a special time and focus on the prayers and learn what they mean and try to understand the intent at a deeper level. And once we have mastered that, when we do come together as a congregation and congregate in the synagogue, certainly the memories of those prayers and the meaning of those prayers will sort of easily flow into our minds, because we'll be more fluent in it, not only fluent in the Hebrew language, but fluent in the ideas that we have contemplated and meditated during our time alone. So let's not despair. Let's make the best of God's time, the godly gift that we're given every day for davening and every day for Torah learning. And then when we come together as a community, collectively, we'll bring all of that intent and all of that knowledge. And certainly then the prayers will reach to the highest levels and affect all the blessings that we want. Thank you, and thanks for joining me today.